I was convinced in my mind that the product spoke for itself. I was convinced that my art was good enough, and that's not the case because like it's not about it being good enough. It's about getting it in front of people to buy it.
That's a easy, well, no, not easy. That's a practical 7-step method for laying a foundation for marketing. Um, you want to have specific goals.
Also want to note that I haven't mastered any of this, as well as a lot of trial by fire and learning things kind of like the hard way. But I would say one of the things too is that, at least with me, it was very easy to get stuck in just planning and like overthinking. So if you ever feel like you tend to be that way, then my recommendation would be,
because when people realize that you have so much abundance, that abundance attracts more abundance. Or they'll feel guilty because it's like, you've given me like $10,000 worth of value. Ugh, now I have to buy $10,000 worth of stuff for you. I'm like, hey, let's go. Hey kings and queens, welcome to another episode of Elevate with E. It's E here, Warner Hughes, CEO of Great Gale LLC, dedicated to rewriting the narrative, and this is a podcast aimed at helping you elevate over the limits life throws at you. And today is no different. See, today we are going to have a very special topic. It's the Build Your Own Table panel. Again, the Build Your Own Table panel. So if you want to be a successful independent author, this is for you, so you can make this year, yes, this year, your year of breakthrough. All right, let's get into it. Hey, kings and queens, welcome back. It's E here, Warner Hughes, CEO of Great Gale and the manga club Afrofutures and manga series Bold Saga. Welcome to the Build Your Own Table panel on the Elevate with E podcast. And this panel is designed to help you, yes, you kings and queens, win and build your own table so you can get success, not just for today or tomorrow, but for the long run. And today, I'm not alone. I am joined by amazing panelists. So, first one we're going to bring up is Kaya. All right. And here we are. Kaya is an illustrator / manga artist based in Philadelphia. Cycling between digital and traditional mediums, she enjoys to storytell in her work by using elements of her love of faith, fashion, and anime. Kaya is also the creator of the manga series Flip X Flop that's been free to read on Webtoons. Flip Flop, for that matter. It's phenomenal. You have to check it out. So, welcome, Kaya. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello.
All right. Next up, well, he's on his way. So next up is Jemima Victor, is a Haitian American author and entrepreneur. She has a BA in Applied Educational Psychology and a master's in accounting from Boston College. In her downtime, Jemima enjoys catching up on Marvel and One Piece. Yes. And going on spontaneous adventures. The Hidden Script, Enter the Kingdom, is her debut novel. So welcome, Jemima.
hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. All right. And then after that, next up is Jordan Davis. So Jordan is the founder of Blacklight Visions, creator of Lovebirds, and on a mission to strengthen artists, content creators, and small business owners. So welcome, Jordan.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. Okay. All right. So now we're going to get into Build Your Own Table. Oh my, this panel has been on my mind for a while because it's all about changing the narrative. This is Black History Month, but beyond that, this is Black History every day. Black History Month, future, Black future, all of that, because it's about Black History 365, because we need to change the narrative so that the generations that come after see something different. And this is what this is all about. So this panel came about based on two people. Right? It was Dr. Eric Thomas and Lawrence Tate. So Dr. Eric Thomas had this quote that he said, and I added it to some stuff I saw in manga and anime. You may have seen it on my page, or if you're new to this channel or new to any of this, this is what it is.
I don't need to sit at your table. We building one. We in the process of building a table. We building a table. I don't gotta sit at your table. I'm building my own table, and I will build you a table in the presence of your enemies.
So that was on my mind. And in addition to that, it was what Lawrence Tate once said. He said, never beg for a seat when you can build your own table. Read that twice. So what does this have to do with Black history, Black future, indie self-publishing, comics, and manga? everything. See, a table is a flat surface, usually supported by 4 legs, used for putting things on, but for this panel, it's 5 things working in unity. Your dream, your one thing, plus 4 systems. So your one thing is your purpose, the one thing that comes easy to you that's hard to others, in this case, comics, manga, books, whatever it is, that's your one thing. Next up is business and marketing, which is your stability. That's the foundation that holds your comics and manga together. After that is the magnetic personality, your appeal, what attracts the right people, dream customers, and repels the wrong people, nightmare customers, to your comics, manga, books. Next up is tribe, which is your community, how you lead your people towards a desired goal and destination. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. That's an amazing African proverb. And next up after that, lastly, is the flywheel, which is your continuity, how you gain consistent revenue and net income for your purpose. Because, like Warren Buffett said, if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. And no, if you've never heard of a flywheel, because someone did ask me, what is a flywheel? A flywheel comes from mechanics, and it refers to a heavy wheel used to generate and transfer energy to other parts of a machine. The flywheel requires significant force to start spinning, but once spinning at high speed and building momentum, will begin storing and continue to turn by itself. So once it's started, it'll just keep going and going and going. Right? Now, let's get into the questions. All right, so the first question is, why did you decide comics, manga, or books is your one thing? Anyone can go.
Yeah, I'll go first. I think I was 9 years old, and my favorite arcade in the mall closed. And I remember being heartbroken. I'm dramatic. I dropped to my knees and everything. I was like, no, I couldn't believe it. And it was then I made a decision in my mind. I'm gonna have an amazing arcade one day. And then I held on to that notion. And then I think it was probably high school. I started well, first let me dial it back just a little bit. My father has like 3,000 comic books. My mom's a bookworm into sci-fi and fantasy. Just to give some background. But around high school, I started writing, and I'm not an artist, so it was important for me to bring this to life. And I thought, how am I going to do this and do an arcade? And then as time kept going, I realized I just need to focus on making these animated series that I see in my head where Black people saving the galaxy, saving the world. I thought when the Boondocks came out, and I don't like title dropping, but I thought when the Boondocks came out, it was going to start like a domino effect, and it didn't. And then fast forward, I think there was some push for Cannon Busters, and then that got shelved. And 2018, I took it upon myself to put a team together, and we've been building some amazing intellectual properties ever since. And that's how I knew, like, this is not just a nice little thing to me to do, or I can do this too. It's like a purpose in my life. It's not just a cool thing. It's very integral to my personality. Boom.
Guess I'll go next. For me, what made me decide that manga and comics would be my thing is originally, so I've been drawing since forever, like even since pre-K when we had the little finger paints and different things like that. And it wasn't until obviously I got into anime and manga, I started to get heavily inspired by Naruto, Bleach, and I would make my own little comic booklets out of the literal, like the actual copy paper. I would fold it and glue it together and have my comics going through there. But it was just kind of just like a copy, you know what I'm saying? of making Naruto or Bleach OCs and things like that. And so I left comics for a time and focused on building my own style and building my own characters and my own voice. And it wasn't until like 2017 in high school when I came up with the idea of flip flop, and I really was growing in my faith. And I was like, I want to, instead of being so obsessed with Japanese culture, I'm looking into my culture. I'm looking into who I am and seeing the stories that I want to see and then tell them. So this kind of turned into me finding creative ways to share not only my story and the people around me's story, but a creative way for me to share my faith as well. So that's how it became my thing, is like interlocking the purpose of an artist, but then also walking out that faith in a creative way through comics and through these different characters that I create. So yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, I'll go next. And I think with me, how I found my purpose with writing, it kind of started with watching movies and TVs and just loving stories. And so being able to just be encaptured by shows was so amazing. And even growing up too, I always loved, Cartoon Network, anime, Disney. And it wasn't until later when I found the story that I wanted to tell myself. And it's kind of like what Kaya said too. Like, I've always been obsessed with other cultures, but I really wanted to make a story about, just African American culture. And what made me want to really dive in on that was some of the books I started reading in high school. We were reading things from like the Harlem Renaissance, and I really fell in love. But I never, like, it was a moment that was like pivotal for me, but that didn't register until way, way later. And putting it all together, it's just been an amazing journey. But definitely, I think it just comes from my love of stories and being able to watch something and just be taken from an adventure with the characters.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
For me, honestly, when I was thinking about getting into this, it was about a chapter change. Because when I started, I was really passionate about video games. I loved it. But the first thing I remember drawing was like Dragon Ball Z, watching it on TV. I used to always love like taking lines, making mazes. But once Dragon Ball Z came on, I was trying to draw all the Dragon Ball Z characters. It was popping back in the day. But it wasn't until I held One Piece in my hand and I started laughing while reading. I was like, hey, this is simple. It's so simple. A child could do it. I could do it. So then I was like, now I have to find out this thing called manga and go on a journey to try and figure out how to do it. I asked my dad, can you get me how to draw a book? The first book he gets is not the book I asked him to get on heroes. He got me villains. That just changed everything. Fast forward years later, I grew up on the mangas, the animes, the Dragon Ball Z's, the One Piece, and I was so engrossed in their culture. I love that. I was speaking so much Japanese from just playing Street Fighter and King of Fighters. I used to aggravate my sister. But after I got older, I'm like, wait a minute. Why don't the characters that I draw look like me? Because I remember I saw a drawing when I was in Antigua, as I moved back and forth, of what I look like in manga. It was like a cat with straight hair. I'm like, but why doesn't it look like me? Where's the melanin? So I went on this deep dive, even when I was working on my first video game. And I was like, how come the characters don't look like your mom, don't look like you, don't look like anyone in your family? I was like, are you ashamed of yourself? No. Then why don't you change it? So I changed it and I was like, this isn't going to work. Then I just went into a deep dive about history, stories, and culture because I feel that once you change your group esteem, everything changes. Because we all know about self-esteem. That's how we feel. But group esteem is how we see ourselves as a people. And I was like, the best way to do that is to represent yourself authentically in a story. Because story is the greatest catalyst for change. Jordan Peele said that, and it's been with me ever since. So I got into manga. Still going to get back into the video games, but got to build up the base first. So that's how manga became my one thing. All right. The next question is, what is your number one best tip for business and marketing?
I'll go first. Best tip for business and marketing: tell a story, have a strategy, and be consistent. In all of those, you want to build up with discipline. It's not easy. Business and marketing makes the money, and it's not easy. So definitely get a strategy, and don't don't wing it. Whatever you do, get a consultant and then get a strategist. Don't just go to the strategist get a consultant, get research done. I have a 7-step strategy and I have 15 years of digital marketing and sales. But first you research, then you analyze, then you build, then you implement your campaigns, then you engage with the results, then you monitor the progress, and then you optimize your results. And that's a easy, well, no, not easy. That's a practical 7-step method for laying a foundation for marketing. You want to have specific goals, have a team, and if you can do it all by yourself, okay, or have a system for outsourcing, but you generally want to have a strategy, and it takes time. Don't rush, don't wing it. Take your time, build your team, and chip away at success. And if your heart's not in it, it's not going to work. If you see with business, if you see like you think you see an opportunity, play it smart. Play it very smart, because they'll eat you up. There are savages out here. But yeah, that was like several tips, but that's what I would say for business and marketing.
I mean, you covered everything. I feel like I'm gonna speak from a place of my mistakes when it comes to the best business tips, because I didn't plan, I didn't do none of that, and it was to my demise. Because I feel like if I would have did all those things and had a strategy, it would have worked out. But I definitely agree with the consistency and everything you said. But from my point of view, I definitely think, for me, at least I know everything you said, but then also word of mouth, like creating a personal relationship in real life as well, has really been helpful as an artist, because people connect. Like you said, a story. When you added your face to that story, it allows a deeper connection as well to want people to invest in you as well. And one of the things that I tried to get away with is to try to remain faceless or be all mysterious and stuff like that. Some people could do that with great marketing tools and a team and a strategy, like you said. If that's a part of the strategy, it works. But if I was just winging it, it didn't work, because I didn't have like that connection that I was really looking for until I started going to more conventions and meeting people and showing up into more places and spaces. And then also another mistake I did is uh, I just felt like it was this, I don't know, something was stopping me from promoting myself. Like, people don't care that you're shy. They're never gonna want to look for your product. Like, I was convinced in my mind that the product spoke for itself. I was convinced that my art was good enough, and that's not the case, because like it's not about it being good enough. It's about getting it in front of people to buy it. And so that's why you see people that might not have this the skill that you think they have, that's less than yours, but still killing it business wise, because they're promoting their products. They're putting it in front of eyes. So it doesn't matter how many years I spent on this product if nobody's seen it. So that was my mistake, thinking that the work itself is going to sell itself. Like, no, it's an inanimate object. Like, I have to put it out there. You know what I'm saying? So that's definitely one of my mistakes, or one of my many mistakes. And just not being organized. That's another thing. Marketing requires a lot of organization, that I thought I could just post here and there, draw some for this and that, and that'll get the views and pull it in. It doesn't work like that. It has to be like a whole system. So I definitely learned from my mistakes. A lot of this learning came when it came to me doing this Kickstarter, where I got a rude awakening of how much this really cost me and how much energy it takes to market and to promote by yourself. So, this next time around, I'm definitely going into this with a different mindset. And everything you said, Jordan, was very helpful, because I'm like, this is everything I need to work on. So if there's any mistakes that anybody just heard from me, try to avoid them.
Awesome.
Yeah, I definitely agree with a lot of the things that I heard too. And also want to note that I haven't mastered any of this as well. It's a lot of trial by fire and learning things kind of like the hard way. Um, but I would say one of the things too is that, at least with me, it was very easy to get stuck in just planning and like overthinking. So if you ever feel like you tend to be that way, then my recommendation would be just start versus all of the planning, because if you don't start, you're not going to have a product to sell anyways. So what are you really doing? So I would say try your best to have a product and have something that you can at least show people and get feedback, and then from then you can curate the plan, and then you can figure out what works, what doesn't. Because at least, Kaya, she had a comic. I have, at least a cover design or something, be like, hey, this is what I'm working on. I think it's really hard to figure out what it is that people want with just like a word, or just like I mean, sometimes people latch onto it, but I think with me, at least, I started having the most concrete feedback when I had like a prototype draft to show people. Then I was able to see, like, okay, is this what people like? This is what people don't like. And even with that, I was able to find out these are the artists that I can work with, and these are the artists that I can't, because I tried reaching out to people, and based on who could understand what I was trying to say, those were the people I could work with. So I'll definitely say, if you're an overthinker, just start. And then another thing is, if you're starting, start earlier than you think you need. Because it takes a while. If you're doing it yourself, it takes a while to figure out what you're going to market, what holidays on the calendar go with your niche, and just, what you want to do. So sometimes if you end up doing it at the last minute, it's just because it took longer than you thought you needed. But yeah, I would agree with most of the things said here too.
Awesome. Thank you, Queen. For me, number one tip when it comes to the marketing side is this: show up to serve before you show up to sell. I find that when I speak to other people that have businesses, they keep thinking if you show up on social media, it's all about like promoting your book, promoting your product, and people are gonna just buy. Even if you have like one follower or 10 followers, but that's not how social media works. See, social is the key thing, and then it's media. And people need to find that you're a person. So when you show up to serve and give away your best stuff for free, which is very cringe for me, I'm Caribbean. For my entire life, my parents have said never give away anything for free. Yet all these millionaire people like give away your best stuff for free. I'm like, who's winning? I think I will try this free thing out. I think I will. So just giving out your best stuff for free. Even when I was on Blur's Eye View podcast yesterday, they were like, interesting, you're not gatekeeping. Because then people realize that you have so much abundance, that abundance attracts more abundance. So when you have so much information and value to provide to people without asking for a dollar, they realize that you're really about what you're talking about, and then they'll just buy from you. Or they'll feel guilty because it's like, you've given me like $10,000 worth of value. Ugh, now I have to buy $10,000 worth of stuff from you. I'm like, hey, let's go. So that's the first thing. The next thing I've learned when it comes to business, the number one thing about business was this: if you don't have continuity, you don't have a business. Now that struck me like lightning in my face. I was like, who said that? It was David Frey. And what he was basically getting at, they have this book called A Lynchpin. And in it, this man said he had $8 million in sales every year. But the weirdest thing is when he got his business evaluated, it was only worth 500,000. 500,000 off of an $8 million business. But when they went through the evaluation, they said all you have is a promotion. And I feel that's a problem we have as creators. Even me personally, just promoting, promoting, promoting without a continuity strategy is just, you're shooting yourself in the foot because you're just grinding and hustling. I literally in my room have hustle, grind, execution. Systems is the one thing. You need that like clockwork. Every month, you know that you have a set amount of people in your tribe that support you, that want to see you win, and you provide value to them, and then they support you. And that cycle helps you. That and having higher tiered offers, because it's one thing to have like a $5 book, $10, $20 audio book, but like when you get to like premium value things that can help you hit your revenue goals faster. The question can be like, where are you going to find the people to buy it? Let's keep talking to people. Showing up in person is a great way as well. So those are the things that I feel are the number one when it comes to me for marketing as well as business. Next up is, how do you create your magnetic personality, and how do you attract dream customers and repel nightmare customers?
I guess I'll go first this time. So I don't know about magnetic personality, once you get to know me, but I think being friendly, conversational, showing interest in what people have to say, or even their thoughts, critiques, and different things like that. People appreciate that you're willing to hear them out, even if you might not agree. It just builds connection there, even for long term. Even if it's not an opportunity at the moment, they'll remember you and come back around. Um, as far as like, dream customers and nightmares, um, being like concise, straight to the point helps. For me as an artist, right, there's a lot of scams, a lot of people wasting your time selling you dreams. Like, I got an anime idea, and then no budget. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes you gotta get straight to the point. Like, all right, if you're really wanting to work on this and you're serious, time is money, and the talent also costs. So, what's your budget? Or have a commission sheet already set up. Like, I started just putting the prices on a commission sheet, so that eliminates like the long process of conversation. Obviously, like I said earlier, be conversational, but there's different points in time where people's just like talking you in circles and wasting your time. So you got to be able to discern that, because then they'll just leave you hanging and be like, okay, I'll come back later, and never come back. So make sure that you put your terms up front in the conversation so that everybody's clear, and then we can continue. So just being concise, being friendly, conversational, that helps get the good and also avoid the bad.
Yeah, I'll go next. Being concise, I think that's very, very important. It's funny 'cause I experienced that on both ends, as being like someone selling a product to customers, but then also someone seeking out services. But I think another thing that helps, you know, I feel like your magnetic personality, it's kind of hard to be like, go after this certain type of persona, but I think just really communicating like the care that you have in your product, that really helps. And then also too, I think it's just being yourself. Even though that sounds so cliche, because I've seen people like cuss out their customers and they love it. And they're just like, yeah, man, F you too. And I'm just like, okay. They're rude, but they make it work. So I don't really know. I think it's just more so finding the people that resonate with what you like to do. And I think that would work longer than trying to be this certain personality. And then also, like Kaya said, communication, because I try to tell people up front, like, yeah, this is like, a dual language kind of book. Like, we have two different types of writing styles, and we have art, and just like showing people visually. Like, I feel like I do the best when I have the demos. People can actually see and flip through the book and be like, oh, okay. And I'll let people read a chapter. So I think it's just like letting it be known what they're getting into, so they don't have any surprises. And people who want it will just buy right away. And then other people will just be like, okay, I'm good. And it's being okay with that, because the rejection may not necessarily be personal. It's just that they don't want it and they're not aligned with what you're offering.
Wonderfully said. Can you repeat the question?
Oh, no problem. The question is, how did you create your personality? How do you attract dream customers that can repel negative?
Um, for my personality, I didn't. Being prayer, meditation, affirmations, exercise, and diet daily. Um, I used to talk about it a lot. I used to tell people, oh yeah, I meditate, or oh yeah, I pray every day. And I wasn't doing it. I would just do it whenever I was overwhelmed or I felt the need to. But now I'm like 5 years into daily, and it's such a big difference, and it's allowed me to it's aided my business and my entrepreneurship. um One of the best things I can say is refuse negativity in your life, um, from yourself and from the people around you. You have the ability, or I found the ability, to build boundaries and bridges. And you can do that with your emotional intelligence and with active listening. If anybody has never heard of active listening, I implore you to look up active listening exercises, and you'll begin to learn that it's a skill. It's an acquired skill that a lot of people don't have. Most people are listening to um, say something. They're not actually listening to. They're hearing you, so they're waiting for you to stop talking so they can say what they want. They're not really listening, and that's a skill that I learned. I was like 16. I took a leadership class, and I never really thought it would. I thought a lot of adults were already active listeners, and then I grew up and I realized, oh shoot, it's not a everybody's not um that type of personality. Um, but yeah, active listening, boundaries, bridges, and refuse negativity. Choose positivity in everything. Even if you, even if your car breaks down, choose. Oh, let me stop before my car breaks down. But always choose. Lean on the good. Always lean on the good. Um, but yeah, that's my bit.
Awesome. So for me, how did I create my magnetic personality? I would say it would had to have been reading books. Because one thing is you have a dream, but then you realize, okay, Jesus, I need to sell to people and market to people. It's not like a robot's buying from me. So I had to become the person who could actually stand in front of people and talk about what I do. It did help that my father was and still is an entrepreneur for on-course innovation. So I would go with him to trade shows and look people in the eyes and for hours trying when they walk by the table, just being able to talk about this is the product, this is what it stands for, and all these other things. So supporting someone else on their dream can help me. And then through that, I found that I actually can talk to people. I'm not as shy as I thought I would. I guess I'm not really an introvert. Guess when it depends on when you're ready for it. So in terms of the magnetic personality, reading the Bible helped me gain more confidence. Reading books like people from Dr. Eric Thomas to TD Jakes, all these different people help build up my mentality. Because in order to truly have a really authentic magnetic personality, you have to embrace your own uniqueness. And when you find out what you're unique at, if you're more quiet, if you're more overt, whatever that is, Jamie talked about people that say F this and that to their customers. That's them, like Gary Vee type of people. It depends on like your persona, your characteristics. So whatever that is for you, embrace that. Don't be afraid to walk away from it. Walk towards it because your vibe attracts your tribe. So that was one aspect of the magnetic personality. And how do I attract dream customers or repel nightmare customers? I was reading a book one time, and they said that if you truly want to get marketing done right, if you haven't gotten someone mad by 12 o'clock, you're doing it wrong. Like you have to be marketing so much to the point you get people annoyed. Or if you go into a bar, just start a fight with someone to the next of you. Because social media sadly is controversy. And by start a fight, it's not like you just mock someone, but you stand for something and you're polarizing. One post that helped me for social media is when I called out whack excellence, like the video I just played before. And I will literally show Killer Bee. And I will literally show all these anime characters who I deem as whack excellence. And what that does is that draws people and be like, oh wow, the original poster was right. They are mocking us. Let me support his stuff. Let me share this message. And then it'll push away people that, hey man, I love Killer Bee. He's invited to the cookout. Don't dare say anything. Man, I don't care about that. I'm trying to reach the people who need to be reached. All right. If you want to support stuff that's actually mocking you, or if you don't realize it, that's up to you. But the point is, this is how you draw people towards you magnetically and push people away by standing for something. Because if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. So these are the things that can help you in terms of your magnetic personality and just pushing people away. Also knowing your standards. Like if you have a price, stand on that price. If you have this is the cost of the book. Like when I tell people Bold Sock is $10 per book, they're like, what? I can get Shonen and Jump for $3 and get access. Then do that. But for the people that are here right now, this is what we do because we know our value. Because as a wise person once says, price is never an issue in the presence of value. And when you know you're giving someone diamonds in your book, from Jemima's book to Kaya's book to what Jordan is doing, this premium value work, you don't have to, oh no, this is the price. No, this is the price. Take it or leave it. That's it. And this is how you stand up for something and you draw the right people to you and you push people that are negative away. I mean, trolls will always be there, but they can hide under their bridges. Next up, what's the best way you've built your tribe and advice for those building their own?
So the best way how I built my tribe, I initially started with a Facebook group, and I was going into other Facebook groups and recruiting people and pulling them into mine with posts asking who wanted to join, and I was very proactive with recruiting. And then in my group, I was doing probably 80% of the posts. And I've been a social media manager, I've been a consultant, a strategist and all this stuff. So I have a better skill set to, like, when I'm bringing people in, I know, the right emoji, the right call to actions, and the small funnel to bring them into the group. And I have a specific goal in the group. Um, um, so yeah, I would say to build, st- start small, um, and be realistic about the numbers, but more importantly, focus on making a family with people, making an actual tribe. Tribes take care of each other. The tribe doesn't get up and go to the city. They stay apart from the city. That's a horrible analogy. Um, Stick with your tribe. Stick for your tribe. Protect your tribe. Be a shield for your tribe. Um, yeah, a lot of people came to me for. I like to network with artists and help them give opportunities. And now artists come to me for work, and I'm able. I had a guy, Maurice, came to me and was like, "Hey, can you help me get a?" He's an older guy too. He's like, "Hey, can you help me get a job?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And I hooked him up with somebody, and the next week he's like, "Oh my God, man, thank you so much." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's what it's for. It's for helping people grow, helping people network." And now I'm good friends with him, and I've met a couple thousand people online. And yeah, let me tell you, strangers will change your life. It's not your family and friends that will make you rich and successful. It's the strangers. Because if your family and friends was going to make you rich, they would have did it by now. Come on, they'd have did it by now. They would have done it by now. Um, but yeah, that's build your community one brick at a time. Be genuine, authentic. Do 80% of be the voice, and pull people in with a specific goal in mind. Mm.
Awesome. Let's see. One four. Yeah. So the best way I built my tribe and advice for people building their own, honestly, you just have to show up. It's so strange, but it's so true. The person who shows up more consistently, we talked about consistently already, it shows up with the right amount of value, that's going to be the person that's going to truly attract the tribe. Like, when I was working on Bold Saga, before I released it, I'm like, oh no, I'm not about to just put up a post in the book and just tell people about it. So I spent, before I even released it, days, weeks, months, basically a year plus, up to 2 years, just posting motivational content. And when it came close, I said something big is coming to try and get people intrigued and curiosity. Like, what is it? And then by the time it dropped, they're like, wow. So posting consistently, posting things of value. Jordan said to protect your tribe, honestly, be there for your tribe. Have a common goal and it's something that they're looking for. Because to be honest, people are only tuned into one channel, what's in it for me. And when you get to the point where you realize, my book and the stuff I'm creating, although I like it, and although that's the point, the goal is to get someone else interested in it in order for them to support it. Yes, it's something that you love, but it's got to be something of value to someone else. And when they realize that, they join your tribe. They're interested in what you have to say, and they will support you. Another thing that's also I found has been very helpful is joining groups, Facebook groups. I was at one point part of Black Sands Entertainment's their app, and that was great because I was able to talk with people. Being able to just get in a space where you are around your target audience, that's one of the best things that you can do. And once you provide enough value, oh my gosh. Another thing that can help you while you're building your tribe is get emails. Please. Find a way when you're selling your books, when you're talking in person, whatever it is, get emails because email is truly the best form of media for social media. To a point, and they're true. The amount of emails you get can literally almost equal like $1 per month per year. Like when you get more emails, you can just tell your people there's an email blast. We've got this new offer, this new idea. We've got this new opportunity, and provide more to people. Because when you give them more, they're more interested in hearing what you have to say as opposed to just take, 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 take. So that is my advice of how I built a tribe and advice for anyone else building their own. Now, the big one. Do you have a flywheel in place? If so, how do you build and maintain it?
And what was the flywheel again?
You,
What was
you know what I'm gonna ask you. It's all right. I didn't know if you were too. Flywheel is continuity. How you gain consistent revenue and get income from your purpose. And the example is when you have a flywheel, you want to keep it, it's like a big wheel that's more like the locomotive thing that moves over mechanics. So even though it takes a lot of force to push it, once it's moving, it'll consistently keep going and build up momentum. So it's almost like pushing a boulder up a hill for it to go down. Once it's in motion, it continues to build up momentum. So that's your continuity. People buying from you monthly, weekly, daily. Like, how do you consistently do that in your space? Did that answer your question?
Yeah. So in my space within Blacklight Visions, we're building up events, products, art, and services that cater to artists, entrepreneurs, content creators, and creatives from all aspects. Um, it's a lot. It's a lot, but we've been chipping away at it, and this year we'll actually have some events and start selling some art and products. Another thing we're going to get into soon, and this is the first time I'm sharing this with anybody, we're going to start acquiring and selling like art pieces and have an art show. And I see nobody else is doing it. And I've noticed a lot of artists don't throw their own art shows. You know, they think it's got to be once they get to a certain level or something, and it's not. You could do it anytime you want, and people that don't make art do it all the time. But yeah, the flywheel would be events like mixers, webinars, workshops, um, we're trying to get a group vacation and or a retreat in the works, but then also we have 4 intellectual properties in development. We have web comic, two web comics, a graphic novel, and a children's book in development right now. Then we'll also be offering editing, marketing, a host graphic design, a host of different services, strategy for our target audience. And as we progress, as we grow, looking forward to expanding into chapters and targeting our most prolific cities to continue the growing the foundation, because it's not about making millions and millions, like 20-50 million dollars. That's not the because if you look at our the population of our target audience, that's not really feasible. Like once you study your target audience, you'll know what's a realistic cap, what's a realistic ceiling. And once you start breaking it down, you see like, oh, if I get a chapter in Houston and Florida and Atlanta and DC and New York, and we got events here, there, this, there. And then later we're able to host a convention. And I'm going to say this last thing. We're going to also have an award show where we give awards to either nominated or artists online that haven't gotten any recognition, just to let them know that their work is appreciated. And we'll be doing that as soon as possible. It's a little tricky, but I'm on it. But yeah, that's our Blacklight Visions flywheel.
Thanks, King.
Doing big things. That's awesome. That's awesome. For me, like I'm just getting started in this whole thing. So honestly, I guess my flywheel, like my passive income of sorts, was my first taste of it was in 2020 when I started making just merch of stuff from my manga, and I was using Spring. They print it and ship it for you. So, but it was like the first moment ever that I made $100 without having to do nothing. Just like woke up, and I was very happy with that experience because it was like I don't have to work for it. Because doing commissions and getting money, that's one thing. But if I have to constantly stop what I'm doing just to make money, I'm not really making money because my larger project is losing its time. You know what I'm saying? So when that happened, that was definitely encouraging to me. And then I was also using Imprint. And Imprint is a website where artists can also turn their illustrations into prints, and they print it and ship it for you as well. But with these, sites, when they print and ship it for you, they take a percentage off the top, like 40%, 50%. You can negotiate that depending, comparing to the different sites that offer those things, or you can print it yourself and ship it. So it all comes down on what you're willing to do and how much time you have to do those things if you want to maximize the profit. But when it comes to those things, it definitely was satisfying to me. I guess another thing I could say is kind of a flywheel is when I started to turn my flip flop chapters into short little issues because I didn't have the volume out yet, and I'm technically not making any money from it aside from like the little passive things like the merch and the prints. So I'm like, well, why don't I sell little issues of the chapters that I do have while I'm trying to compile the manga, like the full volume? Because I'm reworking, I'm trying to make sure that the volume is nice. So why not make some money while I'm fixing these things? You know what I'm saying? So that's what I've been doing. I've been going to like conventions and events, and now I'm making money off of the work I already have. Because it's like I'm making manga. I have a lot of content to work with. You know what I'm saying? I can make stickers off of panels. I can make a little shirt from different panels and make it nice, not just to slap it on there. I do add other things to it. But just like I'm starting to realize I'm utilizing what I have already in my hands before waiting for the big reveal. So I'm getting used to being consistent with that and utilizing that. And so that's what I'm working with right now. Shirts, prints, and then obviously the comic issues and coming to and going to conventions because with the conventions, I'm selling work that I've been made and just reproducing it and making a profit so then I can relax and work on my stuff. And I think that's pretty helpful as an artist because you're not only making connections, but you're making money off of what you had already made. You're not working for it and stopping what you're doing. So that's what's helpful to me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm kind of in a similar boat as Kaya, and I guess my flywheel will be like books, and if I can pivot from like the physical books to ebooks, I feel like that would be a great flywheel. I'm still developing and figuring out what works. But at least with the idea of the story that I have, I can go to conventions, like she said, and sell the books and talk to people about it. And it's not like I have to make a new book every single time I go to a conference, but I can use what I worked on throughout the year and then just have that to introduce people to the world of my characters and stuff. And I think also merch is great too, like stickers or just associated things that help people feel like they're bringing part of the world that you create home with them. So yeah, definitely still working on it, but the books are definitely a huge segment for that and creating the flywheel.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone that has responded so far. So I wanted to go last, I wanted to hear what everyone considered, what they thought of as the flywheel, and then I'll give you the whole backdrop of where this came from. When I first heard flywheel, it was from another entrepreneur, Russell, who talked about it. But the next person I heard mention the flywheel was Russell Brunson, and I just came back from 2 Comma Club X. They had the Lynch edition. Oh my gosh, this is where flywheel comes in. Everything that you've described so far, Kings and Queens, is great. Those are your offers. But a flywheel in context is what you can put out that's going to consistently, when you put it out, it's a subscription. That's another word for it. So what do you have on subscription? So it's like, are they paying $5 a month, $20 a month, $100 a month, et cetera, et cetera. And the reason why I asked that, and the reason why I feel I had to add it to this panel, is because as creatives, we know have to make your manga, when you have to write your books, when you have to create, it is a lot of work. And if there's any way that you can reduce the amount of strain financially it takes to create, because it's going to be events you have to go to, travel you have to get, different things that you have to do along the way, when you build your flywheel, when you build your subscription, it helps you because you're getting your community. They're subscribing to what you're doing. And what you could do is, and this is what I had to do for Bold Saga. Currently, I only have one flywheel set up right now. And that flywheel is Bold Saga Beyond, where you can pay $5 a month and you can get access to all the chapters. So for you, Kaya, if you ever wanted to, it's an option. You could put your chapters in a subscription model and people can pay, like how Webtoons does it. You can pay more to get the latest chapters, or you could pay for a specific amount of chapters. Part of your flywheel could be, hey, if you want to see behind the scenes, you got to pay backstage pass. You want to actually see how this works. You have ideas for your manga or whatever you're working on, your books. You pay and subscribe, we can show you how this is done and we can help you directly. So they're getting a trade-off by getting expert advice. You can do it alongside what you're doing. It doesn't have to be long, it could be 5, 10, 20 minutes. And then you are removing yourself from just having to just sell the books all the time, as opposed to just finding a core customer that loves what you're doing and is there to, I'm so excited that I'm a part of this subscription, man. Yes, I'll tell everybody about it, because then you get your super fans and then they'll show up to meet you. They'll become your brand ambassadors, because one of the hardest parts about business and creating your books is finding new people. But one thing I found out from being around all these people are making 6, 7, 8, 9 figures. I'm like, this is how they became successful. It's the long game. Because I heard this quote and they said, amateurs make money on the front end, and I've been an amateur for too long. Experts make money on the back end. The back end is where the real money is. That whole subscription aspect of you're getting someone in for a 97, 47, 197, whatever your price point is, having that in mind can allow you to be like, you know what? Instead of just them paying per month, I can give them a yearly option. Bam! Now I've literally gotten an entire year's worth from one person. They're getting value. I'm still providing the same stuff I'm already providing, but now I can get people into it. And then this builds up an audience. I've even seen this with people like, I forgot the artist's name, Ross Draws, Patreon. It's the same concept. Black Sands, they got like 20,000 people. Many people have used this model, and it's what helped ClickFunnels blow up. And other people as well, even Dr. Eric Thomas mentioned it. If you have a goal and a desire and a destination that you're helping people get towards and achieve, oh man. So yeah, currently I only have one flywheel, and that's Bold Saga Beyond. I was supposed to have more, but we all have those things that we're working towards and we plan to do, but this has got to be the year where it goes from just a plan to a goal to actually getting it done. And for me, how I build and maintain it is just telling people about it. So far, we're just building it. And I know that as we continue to build the flywheel and provide more value inside of it, more people will see it. Specifically because I want to get into animation and video games. I do know it costs a lot to do animation. I've done it once, and I was like, never again. In the way that I was shown, it broke me. Oh my god. So it's like, if I ever do it again, I need to have the money to hire the people. That's another reason why you need a flywheel in place, because you want to hire and pay for the best. You know what they say? The best is never the cheapest, and the cheapest is never the best. Next up now is this. Michael Enzi once said, if you're not on the table, you're on the menu. How do you stay at your table instead of on someone else's menu?
I'll go. How do I stay on the table? We've developed an amazing process for creating fresh, original intellectual properties. And we actively check it against a running database of intellectual properties just to make sure. And then there's also a collaborative effort that we've engineered and patented, and the end result is every time it's a consistent, amazing intellectual property. And it took a couple of years and lots of teamwork to figure it out, to get the system down where we can go from an idea to brainstorming to a finished idea, and then Kickstarter, pre-launch, campaign, and then raise the funds for said intellectual property to develop the first iteration of it. And I think taking the time to get that blueprint together is that has earned Blacklight Visions a permanent seat at the table for the years and decades to come. But it took a lot of time, a lot of sacrifice, and there's always a price. There's a price to sit at the table, and yeah, we definitely paid it. But yeah, fresh, original content. Yeah,
Thanks.
no problem.
I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. Like, I think the only thing that comes to mind, I guess, is sort of like, I guess a little bit like gatekeeping. Like, I'm not really sure what you mean by like on the menu. Like, is it like someone trying to come and take your idea? Like, do you have intellectual right protections? Or is it just like, yeah, I want your life? Like, I'm trying to figure out like what you mean by.
What I mean by it, right? Yeah, yeah. I heard that quote when I was doing the research for the. That's very hard. And the context is basically, you will see a lot of cultures appropriating different aspects, and you'll see people that try and steal from people and take their stuff. Gates and Steve Jobs and all these other people I've talked about, they've mercilessly taken people's ideas. So like, that's what I mean by them taking your product, taking your idea. Because if you're not at the table, right? Like the question literally, or the statement literally is, if you're not on the table, you're on the menu. If you're not at the table, basically you're on the menu. So if you're not sitting there, they're eating your ideas, they're taking it. So that's the context. How do you protect your intellectual property, your book, your idea from people that just take it, take your seats, put it on the table, and just eat up? How do you prevent that? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's definitely better. Then I guess the first answer that I was thinking of probably is just like, copyright protection and trademarking. It does feel expensive, but it's not as expensive as you think. Like, for example, even like copywriting your stuff, there's a lot of videos online that can show you the step by step on how to do it on YouTube. And like paying the copyright fees probably just like I don't know, like something like $100 or something like under 500 to get a copyright for a single title. So things like that are really helpful. And if you have books printed, definitely getting ISBNs because that'll help you when you get to the copyright process. And then eventually trademarking. Like if you have more than one book in a series, you can trademark that title. So like Flip Flop, if you have like 2 issues, and they have a third one in production, you can copyright. I mean, you can trademark that. And so nobody can have something with that logo. in the US. I think things like that. International trademark is also an option too, but I feel like it just depends on where you're at or the amount of funds you have at the moment. Like if you have a really great year at a convention and you made more money than you thought, then you can just take that extra and put it towards getting more trademarks. But yeah, I think that's the best way we can do that.
All right, thank you.
That's amazing. Wonderful.
I was gonna say, I guess like, how do I stay at the table instead of being on someone else's menu? The first thing that came to mind, I was thinking about this minister. Her name is Sophia Ruffin. She's like, stay in your lane and kill it. Like, because there's nobody that's like you. Like, yeah, they can copy what you do, but they don't operate from the same spirit that you operate from. They don't come from where you came from, and even if they did, they haven't walked through the trials and the things that you literally have embedded into your work to tell that story. So it's like really being authentic, showing up, staying in your lane, and being true to what you do. Like you were talking about earlier, about if you don't stand for anything, you're gonna fall for anything. So really standing on who you are and what you stand for within your work. Even if somebody copies it, somebody's gonna know that it's just a weak copy. It's soulless. Like it has, just like when people have those AI debates and things like that. We know when it's a copy versus when somebody really put their whole like personhood into this creation. And so that definitely, like, I don't know. Like at first I didn't understand the question, but then you explained it more, and then I heard everybody's responses. Like that makes sense. Because like creative wise, that's what I'm on, and then legally, the copyright, the trademarking also makes sense. That also makes sense. So yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, this one is an interesting. Oh, did I cut you off?
No, it's okay. I was just gonna agree with Kai about the copy. Like a lot of people try to copy Dragon Ball Z and like One Piece or even any of like the comics, but you could tell it's a copy. So I think that in terms of creatively, what she said is spot on.
Yes, it definitely is because you have to be unique. Because the weirdest thing is when people make the black version of Dragon Ball Z or the black version of animes, black version of any major anime. It's like the sad part is that you're always going to be thinking about the original. Whereas if you're just yourself, unique, it's better. So what I found and what can help you to stay basically at, because we're talking about building your own table instead of on someone else's menu. When you have an idea, kings and queens, don't just talk about your OCs, please. Please don't talk about your OCs. Don't talk about their character. Don't talk about their names. Don't talk about anything pertaining to your story until you have a copyright. You go to copyright.gov. It's literally under 100. It's like 65 to 80 for one story. If you want to do multiple books, you can get up to 10 for like 80 to 100 plus. You need to do that before you release it, because otherwise you'll be putting out your work, right? And then someone can just take it. All right. So that's one level. Now, Jamima talked about this, and a trademark is important. You can get a trademark. You can do intent. And I'm not a trademark lawyer, but I'm going to explain why I know this in 1 second. You can get intent to use. You can get like it's in current use. You want to apply for a trademark as soon as possible. I generally don't share this, but I talk about it in my coaching program, Self-Publishing Goldmine. You want to apply for a trademark once you have at least 3 chapters of physical books, not one or two, because they're going to examine it and they're going to see you have a series. You have to protect the series. I know this because I'm currently dealing with a fight right now, something called, I call it the nightmares, the notice of opposition, where someone will literally see your stuff and basically, like, you know what, we're going to try and trademark that. So, in order to avoid these types of up to $50,000 and up to 7 years of legal issues, it's been so many years I've been dealing with this. So, I don't want you, anyone that's watching this, Kings and Queens, to deal with the same situation. So, protect your ideas, right? Make sure you get that copyright. Trademarks, there's a couple of classes you may want to talk to. You should talk to a trademark lawyer. Not because you can't do the research on your own, but because the system has changed. If you went to test.uspto.gov, that was the old system. They have changed the system up now, which is more aggravating. So if you were to search your title to make sure no one else has it, you have to know the classes, and there's at least 60 something plus classes. So that's one level, and then trademarks are international. So your level of research may not be as extensive as a trademark lawyer who can check every database and be able to check other places that you may not be aware of or privy to. So these are things that can help you stay at your table instead of on someone else's menu. Because one of my favorite quotes is from Iron Man 1, when Obadiah Stane was like, "Oh, Tony, you really thought because you had an idea it belonged to you?" This is how the wolves think. This is how bad-minded business people think. Not all business people, but if you, like Einstein said, first you learn the rules of the game, then you learn to play better than anyone else. These are ways that you can protect your IP. Stay at your table. And remember what he said. I will build you a table. The Bible says it. David wrote about it. I'll build you a table in the presence of your enemies. Yes, it's how you stay at your table. Make sure you protect what God gave you. Now, the last question that we have up here is, how can people support your table? And please share your social media links and where to get your books, your offers, your products, and join your table.
Okay, I'll go. You can find me, like, if you want to find my personal page, it's at Jameems on most social media places. And for my book, it's thehiddenscript.com. And there you'll be able to find the book, you'll be able to find any merch that we have, and also you'll have a pop-up to be able to sign up to our email list and be able to know what's going on throughout the months coming up in production and all that stuff too. So at Jameems, JEMEEMS, to find me personally, and then thehiddenscript.com.
You can follow me at _ Jordan Taylor Davis, JordanTaylorDavis, and Blacklight Visions IG, or at Blacklight Visions IG. And I'm working on the website is down right now for Blacklight Vision, but I do have blacklightvisions.com. It's under repair right now. Problem with WordPress. I'm looking for a solution. But yeah, it's going to be an amazing year. But yeah, feel free to follow me on I'm Jordan Taylor Davis on, I think, every platform. But yeah, that's me.
Oh my goodness. Okay, you can follow me at Craze Kai, Craze with a K. So Craze Kai. That's my Instagram for like my main work of illustrations. If you're interested to see what I'm up to, conventions, things like that, I'll post on my main account, Craze Kai. And then if you're interested into flip flop related things, it's at FlipXFlop on Instagram. You can see my process. You can see some of the pages, some of the sketches, and also when I drop and different updates. New Kickstarter coming soon for the volume drop. So I'll keep y'all updated.
Awesome. And you can follow me at Great Gale Co, GreatGaleco. We are on Instagram, Facebook, Clubhouse, YouTube, Fanbase, and Weekend Folk. And if you want to get anything Bold Saga related, you can just go to shop.greatgale.com, SHOP, and you can get Bold Saga chapter 1 through 4, the merchandise, all that stuff. And if you want to get 7 steps to creating a dream manga series, a book that helps you create your own manga series, yes, your own manga series, cover to cover, just go to greatgale.com/steps. And as an added bonus, you can get over $1,000 worth of value. Who else is going to show you how to make your own manga series and get $1,000 in value? All for just one low price at $47. So check us out again at Great Gale Co. Those are the links as well. And next up, I just have some power quotes and then some upcoming events, and then we're done for today. So the power quote of today is this: I had to make my own living and my own opportunity, but I made it. Don't sit down and wait for the opportunities to come. Get up and make them. Again, I had to make my own living and my own opportunities, but I made it. Don't sit down and wait for the opportunities to come. Get up and make them. That is Madam C.J. Walker. And if I'm not mistaken, I think she was one of the first Black millionaires in America. So that is phenomenal. It just goes to show that we just come from a legacy of greatness that even in the midst of turmoil, still blowing up, still making $1 million businesses, still changing the narrative. Next up is upcoming events. So VirtuousCon is coming up February 23rd to 25th this year. If you've never been, you have to go. Just please do yourself a favor and go. It's the ultimate sci-fi and comic culture experience. I've gone every year since they've had it. And what I love about it, it's literally like going to a convention, but it's virtual. So you can literally just see people, you can video talk to your favorite vendors or people you've never met. You can actually go to tables, they have digital tables. I believe that vendoring may still be an option. If not, you can check again for the next event, but it's an amazing thing to go to for the panels, to go to be a vendor, to go to just to experience it because it's fun. Like you just never know who you'll bump into, man. I've seen Wacom be a sponsor. Um, Disney, they've had Disney actors, they've had major companies there as sponsors. So it's truly an amazing thing. So if you love comics, manga, black culture, Afrofuturism, and more, you need to check out VirtuousCon again, February 23rd through the 25th of this year, as well as the Bars versus Bullets Cypher. Unite in Rhyme, rewrite the time. It's Rhyme for Change, and it's going down February 28th at 5 p.m. And it's going to be at Newburgh Youth Build, 245 Liberty Street. They still have some options available. I'm going to be going because I'm a rapper. My stage name is Vanquish. I'm going to be performing, and the theme is going to be about Black History Month, fatherhood, and stop the violence. So if you're into hip hop that's about empowering and inspiring change, about celebrating Black excellence instead of highlighting Black pain, this is the event that you want to be at. So again, that's going to be February 28th at 5 p.m., 245 Liberty Street in Newburgh, New York. And thank you again for all the kings and queens. Thank you again to all the panelists who are here. I truly appreciate it. Thank you for investing your time. I know it's Friday, but thank you so much for being here. And for everyone that's watching this, just know that it doesn't matter what anyone says. It doesn't matter if people say that because you're Black, you can't make manga. Ignore the haters. Ignore the noise and focus on this. Build your own table. Don't beg for a seat at their table. If they want to say anything about your culture, that's fine. Let them. Respond with your own intellectual property and change the world. This is E here you want to use, and thank you so much for being here. Until next time, keep winning, kings and queens. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Elevate with E. We truly appreciate it. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more amazing content. And if you loved this video, we know you'll love the one coming up next. Just click the link and enjoy.